This Daf Yerushalmi Challah, and the article Oswald edition on Daf Yud Beis and Rav. Right at the top, first line, Yerushalmi Challah, and that in the Vilna is on Daf Zayin Amud Aleph, the first wide line. It's no, sorry, it's actually the fifth to last narrow line. Okay, sorry about that. Says Gemara, Tritka, whatever it is, this soft batter, but it's still evidently sufficiently considered to be bread. That it's chayim chalav oimer love hamatzi lechem noretz, and you say hamatzi lechem noretz. Well, they may say Pesach, and you can use it for matzah. Shimon Lakish Omer, the Shimon Lakish says, Tritka enachem is challah. It's not chayim chalav. Ve'en amir hamatzi lechem noretz. Ve'en amir tzeicha Pesach. No good on all accounts. Yossi Mar Tarte. Rabbi Yossi said that Rabbi Yochanan and Rabbi Shlokish argue in two matters. One is about the Tritka, which we just learned, and the other one is the following. As we shall see, Rabbi Yossi, first one he repeats. Rabbi Yossi Martat, Rabbi Yochanan Tritka, Rabbi Challah, Rabbi Matzilach Maretz, Rabbi Yossi Rabbi Pesach, Shalom Lakish Omer Tritka, Einach Rabbi Challah, Ve'ena Omer Rabbi Matzilach Maretz, Ve'ena Rabbi Yossi Rabbi Pesach, Rabbi Yossi Mechorei. Rabbi Yossi said there's another one as well, another machlokas. Rabbi Yochanan Amar, Rabbi Yochanan said Kol Sha'ur Mahalech Tachtav Chaya B'Challah, Rabbi Matzilach Maretz, Ve'yotzi B'Yidei Chalvaso Pesach. So this is Rabbi Yochanan said, even if it's not baked in an oven, it's made in a pan. If the fire goes underneath it at all times, it's considered to be bread, and it's chayav mechala, and make a motzei lecharetz, and it can be yotze with it matzah and Pesach. Rabbi Shimon Lakish says that no, anything which is not, it's not considered bread unless the fire goes on the side, like by an oven, and not when the fire goes underneath it. Years ago, in the early days of the state of Israel, meaning until about the 70s, there was a concept called a seer pella. Seer pella, which wonder pot, which I don't know how it worked. I don't remember. I know my great aunt had one, which you can make cake and bread on top of an oven, on top of a stove. I'm sorry. So I guess this is the machlokas. We're using the seer pella, however it worked, whether you're actually going to be able to make bread or not be able to make bread. So I should look that up, really. Okay, I'm not sure. I just said right about this, but there is a Wikipedia entry on Wonder Pot, the translation of Seer Pella, and it was it's still evidently made. It consists of three parts: aluminum pot shaped like a bunt pan, except smooth-sided rather than fluted, a hooded cover perforated with vending holes, and a thick, round, slightly domed metal disc with a center hole that's placed between the pot and the flame. And it's effective at baking at the top of the stove for three reasons. It's aluminum material, it's whole, and the metal disc separating it from the flame. Aluminum material allows heat to spread uniformly. The center of the pot focuses the flame and creates heat dispersion around the inside of the cake, and the metal disc lifts the pot off the fire, reducing and focusing the flame. So, in any event, they use it primarily for making cake. I don't know if you actually can make bread with it, but it could be this type of contraption, so to speak, makes a trika, and a trika is, therefore, even though it's on top of a flame, still considered to be a type of bread. Okay, just a thought. So the Reish Lakish argues, anytime the fire goes underneath, so this wonder pot contraption could not produce anything which would be meet Reish Lakish's criteria. Rabbi Yochanan said, now here it says Aidei Mashke, but really it's supposed to be Shaloi Aidei Mashke. In other words, Rabbi Yochanan is basically saying, if you don't put in the word Shaloi Aidei Mashke, he's saying, like the Yerushalmi, the Rav Fulton, and the Groze, I concede to you, if it's fried by with a beverage, it's not considered bread, it's not going to be chayav and challah. Okay. Okay, says Gemara, Mastisa Pli Rabbi Yochanan. The Mishnah seems to argue Rabbi Yochanan because it says Sufgani are P'turim min Challah, right? It says Hasufganim to Shayim Beskitin B'Chalas HaMishras V'Amduma P'turim min Challah. So Pater Law, he resolves this by saying, no, it's a different type of Sufganim. That's Sufganim Shenasa Bu'ur. Now here it says Bu'ur, but the who changes here, the Rash and other Mefarshim, it should say Bechama. It's made through this. It's made through the sun. That in other words, our mission says the Plat Mechala is when it's baked by the sun by solar power. And it should say Ein Yotzim Sukam Shinasu Ein Sukam Shinasu Bechama. Not Yotzei Sufganin. There's actually he puts in here the Rashi and version put in here the Tanya. It's a brisa. Ein Yotzim Sufganin Shinasu Bechama. Yotzim Sufganin Shinasu B'or. You can be Yotzim with Sufganim which are made by fire. So it says more of a Leisa Da Pliga Reb Shimon Lakish. So doesn't it seem the Brisa seems to say that when you made with Ur, you're Yotzi that you chiv on Pesach, you can Yotzi chiv on Pesach, etc. So it seems to argue Reish Lakish. But Lakish Ur Malach Minatzad. It's about when there is fire going on the sides as well. Somehow or another, I guess, you made some sort of open oven. I don't know exactly, but it was made so a batter in an open oven. The fire is going on the side, and therefore it is. Yes, that would be even for Reish Lakish meet the criteria to for challah, for hamotzi, and for matzah. Milain Rabbanan Pliyin. So now this sugya was brought down in Maseches Trumas. It's going that which Rabbi Yeshua there says that black figs can nullify white figs, and white figs can nullify black figs. And if a black fig of Truma fell into 100 figs, that some of them are white and some are black, the black and white figs join together to mevatel the black fig in 101. And Rabbi Yochanan explains that that's only talking about a black fig which fell into two black figs, and that means a Torah's bottle anyway, Barov. It only 101. One of the ones required 101. So therefore, they're making that the white one's mitzdarif. But if it fell into one black fig, then in other words, in this mixture, there's only one other black fig and the rest are white. Then Rabbi Yeshua concedes that the white ones don't join up in order to be about the black one, midoraisa. And this it says milain Rabbanan Pliyin. From here, we're going to see that there's Amora there are Amoraim who are going to hold. Yeshua is talking about even where one black one fell into another black one, and it's going to eventually come back around to a sugya. So the Kahana Shal L'Shmuel. Rav Kahana, we know in the Yerushalmi is called Kahana, was he mentioned already? Lo mistarba b'heim meduma does not make sense. They were talking about b'heim meduma. It should say ditnian hacha. It says sheruba truma, and most of it is truma, and the word truma after that is erased by the Rosh Sibilia. And he asked, that which the Mishnah says, Meduma is Patim min Challah, in our Mishnah. It makes sense to say that when it's Chulin fell into majority of Truma, that since the Truma is, since the Truma is not both Midoraisa, so all of the Taroives has a din of Truma, which is Patim min Challah, because it says Chalotim Truma, and not that already the Truma was taken off, as he said on Chalatim Truma, and not from Truma itself, right? Chalatim Truma from Chulin and not from Truma itself. But if the Truma fell into majority of Chulin, Since the truma is bottom in the Torah, should be chayav in challah, right? Makes sense, right? So the I guess the Milan Rabbanan Pligin really is completely out of place here because it's really just a drop in from the Sugyan Trumos. It's totally unnecessary here altogether. Because so therefore, it's just because this Kahana's question applies, Rav Kahana's question also appears in Trumos, so therefore, I guess we have that quotation here. Okay, anyway, so therefore, so he's saying, let me start by in the Truma, the Dinahacha Sharuba Truma. It's got to be mostly Truma. If it's mostly Chulin, why should I be Chaim Challah? I also held that way. I was masking. In other words, I held that way. So this is before Rav Kahana went up to Eretz Yisrael. I don't know. I thought Rav Kahana fled to Eretz Yisrael pretty quickly because he killed somebody by accident, if I recall correctly. But I guess this is he managed to get to Shmuel on the way, and Shmuel said to him, when you go up to Eretz Yisrael, you can ask there in Eretz Yisrael. When he came to Eretz Yisrael, Shem Rabbi Yashem Be'erchen said, "Afilu saw acha shenofla al tisha v'tesha chulin." So he heard it says Rabbi Yasser saying Rabbi Yochanan, even if you have a one saw of truma which fell into 99 sin of chulin, it's potter from challah. Rabbi Avo said, "Kan meishiv," it should be actually kach. That's the Rasulio and the Yerushalmi and Trumas there. Kach meishiv, Rabbi Shimon Lakish, Rabbi Yochanan. It's very well. Rabbi Shimon Lakish arguing this point said, "Sasa poteres sakol." One saw of truma paters the entire meduma from challah. Midaraisa it's batel, right? How could possibly part the entire thing with challah? So Rabbi Yochanan would respond to Shimon Lakish. You have a bunch of little rolls of truma. A bunch of little rolls in a mixture, and one of them is truma, and 100 are chulin. And the rolls are different sizes. So you pick up one roll and you say, okay, we have to take out one roll. Allah will take one too much. Take one, give it to the Kohen. So it says, how do you know that this one is one which is originally truma? Maybe the truma is still left here, especially because they're different sizes, right? They're not uniform. So therefore, who says you got the right one? It's interesting that it includes the fact that the Gemara there in Chumas, I guess, explains, but the Yerushalmi is down here the issue of size. But here the Gemara doesn't seem to focus on size. So, but just so it should be as it doesn't say here the word Ella, but it's as if it says the word Ella. Ella, rather, and again, it doesn't say the word, but it doesn't matter. You say, well, the reason is because Trumas Mana says Rabban. Therefore, a Makel. So we say, yeah, this is the one which came up. We regard that as being a Truma. Avchacha, here too, Kalu. Challah Bismana says Rabbanan. So Challah Bismana says Rabbanan. Therefore, we say that as long as the status of Meduma, even the Rabbanan, so therefore it's Pater Mina Challah, right? Now we come back around to the issue with which we began this discussion, which is who are the Amoraim who and it's, I take back at least in part what I said before, it's not completely superfluous here. The Rabbanan Pligin, because we do bring it down here. Now we find the rabbis who argue, and the Amoraim who argue, and it seems to argue though in Rabbi Yochanan himself, not they argue on Rabbi Yochanan. So the Gemara says, why doesn't he, if we're talking about like Rabbi Yochanan said before, that anyway, there's the black fig fell into two black figs of the black of truma fell into two black figs of chulin. So in rice, the whole thing is batel, right? So the rice, the whole thing is batel. No, that's 1 second. Right. So if you're going to say that the only that case to tell you about is a case where truma is but one black fig of truma fell into two black figs of non-truma. So I say it's talking about truma zman is the rabbanon, and that's how we line it. Say the rice is batel anyway, right? Because it's one black fig into black figs. So why does he not say that we're talking about the truma's batel? And that's why we can assume that the one he picked up is the truma, because anyway, the rice is batel. So so it must be that there are those who say that even in a case where it's one black fig and another black fig, where it's not batel, we could still be makel because truma's man is as rabbanon. So that's why he was nokate the kula. He says the kula is the kula of truma's man as rabbanon. I mean, we can be makel bechal, which also is man as rabbanon, and that didn't say that they had to buy truma's because anyway it's batel me the rise because chad betray batel, because evidently that one black fig can eat me batel if it's not chad betray, if even it's chad bechad, one black fig and another black fig. That's what we're saying. You're seeing the shiny begulin shekfar batlu. Let's say there's different begulin because anyway it's batel, even in the case, which evidently that's the case, there's some discussion there of one black fig and two black figs, it's batel. No, because it's talking about a case. There are those who said that it works even in the case of one black fig and another black fig, and it must be that it works. Why? Because Trumas Mana says the Rabban. But now I understand why let's say about the Leib Yerushalmi brought in these different share of Igulim here, because the Igulim, the size of the Igulim, is parallel to black and white figs situation. In other words, we have talk about Igulim where you have different sizes, and they have one size, say, which is truma, and there are two similar sizes of batalit, that would be trey chad betray, and one eagle of truma, and there's only one additional eagle of the same size, that would be chad bechad, which shouldn't be batalit, and nevertheless, because truma's mana says rabbanan, so therefore it's batalit. So therefore, really in the sugya and trumas, which I don't recall offhand, to be honest with you, there's a parallel made between the black and white figs and the size of the gulin, where you have the different rows of truma in Chulin. And the story concludes again going with the issue of trumas. Rabbi Ziyos Tarvem B'Shem Rabbi Ziyos said, "Afilu chitim tokenu matir." Since trumas man is as rabbanon, so not only we make where you have the figs which got pressed together, where presumably it became already tarevis, but even if you have grain of truma which came meduma with a grain of truma which came meduma by falling into a grain which is chulin, so once it's you could theoretically be borer the chitim if they're assuming they're different colors here, red wheat and white wheat. So even nevertheless, Rabbanon, since Chumash Zayin says Rabbanon, you're allowed to grind all the grain together. It's not considered to be about an Isra Chatchila, and you don't have to be borer of the different colors, again, because Chumash Zayin says Rabbanon. Okay, so our Mishnah said, Upachas mi Shchamesh Zvarim B'Tvua. That's Pata from Challah. Rabbi Avuna said, Adam Rakshu Pachas mi Chamesh Revoim. It's less than 5 Revoim. Avo Imayu Chamesh Revoim Mitzum Tzomim, if they're precisely Chamesh Revoim, Lo B'Dah. It's Chayv Mechala. So Rabbi Yossi Bar Bun B'Shem Rabun said, Lo ala dois tamas. Our Mishnah doesn't have to tell you that 5 revoim precisely chayim challah. That's challah. That's pasha. El al had Rabbi Yochanan meduma min challah. It's going that which Rabbi Yochanan uh, 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 said that our Mishnah is talking about meduma is a part of min challah, saying it's saying that dafka stuffing meduma. Well, that only classic meduma is up in the challah. Suffik meduma vanecha mishum dimu achai b'challah. Olay. So it's but if you have a suffik meduma which are zorim zars atid, so that you have two containers, one of chulin and one of truma, and truma fell into one of them. And we tell it fell into the truma fell into the truma, and the chulin remains mutar l'zarim. That chulin is chayim l'challah. Okay, that's because that it's only meduma where there's a mixture internally. That's part of challah. But if you have meduma where tolin, I say, it fell. I assume it fell here, not in there. That chulin is chayim in challah. So that's something meduma vanecha mishum dimua. You have a suffix if something became meduma, or that's I think the Yerushalmi seems to say it's one case, but I don't know if it's one case. If it's something to do, it sounds like more that your mesupik of truma fell into there, or anachem shum dimur where totally, I say the truma fell into this container, not in that container. In those cases, you're chayav b'chalala. Rabbi Yosef Ravina said, "Dodid makshu Yosef mish chamesh zvoim, you chamesh zvoim mitum tumei peturim min hachala." So he said he says that was what Rabbi Yochanan. I guess that's Okay, so on that Rabbi Yosef, so Rabbi Yochanan is one who said, "Sami duma v'nechoshin demuas chay b'chal olei." You know what threw me off here? The word olei is in the wrong place in Yerushalmi. It should be the Rabbi Yochanan doing part of challah. Sami duma v'nechol mishum duma chay b'chal olei. On that, Rabbi Yosef Abu Mishem Rabbi said, "Hadadit makshu Yosef chamesh zvoim ayu chamesh zvoim mitzumtzami b'turim min challah." Yeah, in that case. And not in the case of Tolin. In the case of stuffing meduma. I don't know what Yerushalmi made in one case. Now, in the case of stuffing meduma, if you're mesupik if it's a meduma, and for sure, if you took off the amount of truma which you're mesupik on, whether it's actually truma or not, you will be left with chamesh revoim, your chayiv and challah. So that's it shouldn't be chamesh revoim mitzumtzamim, because the chamesh revoim mitzumtzamim, then the suffix truma because you have less than 5, you'll leave with less than 5/4, and I guess Chavzan said there are buttons. So they said, okay, if that amount, if you took that off, the suffix truma, and you'll be left with less than you'll be less than chamesh levoim, you're parted from challah. But if it's more, so that it's not chamesh levoim tzumtzamim, and the excess amount corresponds to the suffix truma, and if you took up the suffix truma, remain with chamesh levoim, then that amount, then you're chayim challah because only suffix meduma, not vayde meduma. Okay, and for today.